Hi, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Family Search class. We are so thrilled to be with all of you. We have such a wonderful presentation for you today. We have the Chloe Isom, and she is another one of our very special Family Search experts that is going to help us understand how it is that we can take really just like untraditional relationships from our family members from the past and make them so that they're documented so that it's just easier to attach because as we all know, families are really unique and they're all different. And so this is a really exciting class that you have in store for us today. Chloe, tell us before we get started, tell us a little bit more just about what got you interested in family history? Because you are a research specialist, and just like everyone, no matter where you are in your journey with family history, it all starts somewhere. Where did yours start?
Mine started for me at about the age of 14. I just started getting into looking at my family tree, started doing things like indexing as the years went on. So I'm adopted, but then my mom is also adopted. And her biological father, he had found out that I was starting to get into family history. He was super interested in researching his lines. So he then hired me on to just go through and research those lines so that he could have all this information himself. And so I started doing that, and I just somewhere along the way I realized I had fallen in love with the idea of putting all these pieces together like a puzzle, but then also being able to realize that this puzzle isn't just a puzzle. These are my family members, and I I realized as I was going that I felt so connected to each person. And I sort of, when I talked to my family about all of the people I'd found that day or all of the records that I'd been finding, it was like the person was there with me in the room, or like I had just walked out of the room and finished talking to them, and I was just updating my family on what they had just said or what I had just found out. And so, yeah, it really was just a love of being able to connect with these individuals and then also being able to share their stories with other people that I loved and felt connected to.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I love how you compared it to a puzzle. And it's like, okay, there are all these puzzle pieces. They fit together some way, somehow, and there's a way to figure it out, right? There's a method to the madness, and Family Search is going to help you all today with this. And I'm going to learn so much too. Friends, for those of you that are tuning in, we are almost at 200 people. Can you believe that, Chloe? We have so many people every
Oh,
week on
that's
Thursdays that are tuning in. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell us perhaps also, like, do you have, yes or no, do you have any untraditional relationships that you've discovered in your family heritage as you've started your family history journey? There might be
Mhm.
legends or myths about, I know that grandma had someone that would like cook food, and at least for me in Puerto Rico, my grandmother always talked about how her mother had someone who would always like a housekeeper, so to speak, right? That would cook meals and help them with the house and the kids. And so, Chloe, it's going to be great because this is so applicable to a lot of the different people that are out there, especially like in times of old, where in a census they would show up and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they had that extra person living with them. So just before we get started, everyone, I'm gonna share a little bit more about Chloe and what makes her phenomenal. And so to start off, she's majoring in family history, and that is so cool. And her she's minoring, or excuse me, she has a minor in or getting a minor in Mandarin, Chinese, and Asian studies, which I was reading your bio, and it's such a great mix because you have a multicultural heritage, and so you're mixing this with your family history expertise. That is so neat, Chloe.
Thank you. It's a really cool journey, and I'm super excited to be able to combine my family from both sides of my story in this way. It's definitely unique. So for me, especially being able to add people and add all of these not quite unconventional, but a little bit less common situations with different
Yes.
relationships in a household, it is definitely super helpful.
Chloe, we're so excited and looking forward to what you have to share with us. For those of you that are just tuning in, Chloe is going to be sharing all of her wisdom with us about again, unconventional relationships and how to add that to the family search tree and to your records. She is also an intern right now at the Family Search library, and she is a contributor to the Family Search. Listen to this, guys. Chinese genealogy basics page. So I read that and I was like, oh my gosh, we have another page to help all of these different types of groups discover more about their family. And so, how neat is it that Chloe, that you got to contribute to that? And that just again shows us how amazing it is that Family Search has all of these landing pages for you to connect with and make sure that you can find more about your ancestral heritage, no matter what it looks like. So, Chloe, one last question for you before we jump into things. Is there anything like unique or interesting that you'd like to share about your own family history?
My It's interesting because in my family history specifically, I've been able to come across throughout the generations. We've just had different instances of the father of the family was either away or had died, leaving his wife with children to care for. So a lot of the
Okay.
times they would do things like take in people to board with them to help with rent money and all. So these people are showing up in censuses. And then also I've got clusters of family who lived in the same area. And so they would have people showing up in census records as either, I don't know if they were just visiting for the day or if they were actually in that household long term. I
Yeah.
do have one record of my grandfather. When he went off to college, he went and lived with an uncle on his mother's side. So just all of these different instances of family being connected in these ways, but also expanding that to community, to all of these people who were living with them who weren't family necessarily, but who were having these day-to-day interactions, and so were a significant part of that family's life.
That is so neat, Chloe. And I love that you can just like reference. I know about all of these different scenarios where people lived with my family and they might not have been like a bloodline, right? But it was a community. And so that just really helps paint the picture of our ancestors and their story. And it also like ultimately contributes to who we are and what we understand about ourselves. So Chloe, thank you so much for again for your time today, and everyone that's watching. We've got more than 200 people tuning in across all of our channels. Please ask your questions throughout. We'll make sure that they're answered, whether it's during the live stream or after the live stream. We're so excited. Chloe, thank you. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I am so excited to start this with you guys today. First of all, I want to say hello and welcome. As Heidi said earlier, my name is Chloe Isom. I am currently a research specialist intern at the Family Search Library. Super great place, and I'm super happy to be here with you guys today. All right. So, as she mentioned earlier, we're going to be adding all of these different unique relationships to a household. But just to make sure our bases are covered, I do want to go over and make sure that we can just add people to our family tree with the with the more expected relationships, basic relationships like adding a father, adding a mother, adding a spouse. Um, so we are going to start with going to the Family Search website here. All right. So once you've logged into the Family Search website, your homepage should look something like this here. I love the Family Search website. The fact that we have this huge tree to build on is super amazing because the family tree is so important to us. It's super great because it is the largest online family tree. It's free for anyone to use. Anyone can add to it, and new people are being added all the time. Our goal with building the family tree and adding all of these new individuals and all of these unique relationships is to ensure that everyone is able to preserve their family's memories, to be able to connect us with our ancestors, and to also help us collaborate with our relatives and build relationships that way. So, just a quick overview of what we will be going over today. We're going to cover how to add someone from different views in the tree, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. But we'll specifically be looking at how to add someone from the landscape view of the tree, from the portrait view of the tree, how to add someone from an individual specific person page, As mentioned earlier, we're going to add more unique relationships such as neighbors, apprentices, slaves. So, all these people who may have lived in the same household and had some sort of close relationship with an ancestor or a relative. Lastly, I will also be going over how to add a person who is not currently connected to your tree. This is great for if you're trying to research that individual to figure out if they are connected or where in the tree they do belong, but you want to be able to keep that information with you until you can figure out that puzzle piece. But you know what? No matter what kind of relationship you're adding, we're super grateful every time you put someone into the tree, because when you do, you're not just connecting yourself to them, you are also helping others who share those ancestors too. For example, a few years ago, I was working in my family tree and I had recorded one of my family members as being a family with 4 people in it. So, mother, father, 2 sons. I later found that someone else was working on the FamilySearch tree and they had added a 3rd son to the family. I was able to reach out to them. We found out that we were connected through that same family, and they were kind enough to give me more details about the family that I hadn't known before. And because of that collaboration with this person, I was able to grow my tree further and to expand it further back. So by the end of this webinar, I'm hoping that you'll also feel confident that you can add your own ancestors and keep building your family tree as well. All right, and let's see. Awesome. It looks like we've got some people from the San Bernardino Mountains and Felicia from Arizona. Welcome, guys. I'm glad you could join us. All right, so starting here, once you've logged into your FamilySearch account, this is your landing page. We're going to go up over into the top of the left corner of your screen where you have the family tree logo. Normally it will say, here, if I expand this a little bit, normally it'll say FamilySearch in green right here as well. But you can just click on, there we go. So this is what it will normally look like. So if you'll go to the left-hand corner where it says FamilySearch with the tree logo, go to the right of that. It's the first button there where it says Family Tree. If you click this button, it's going to open this drop-down menu. We're going to go down to the second option where it says Tree and click that. That's going to open and show this tree here. So this is my family tree that I will be using for our demo today. We're going to be working with one of my grandmother's maternal lines. Before we begin, I would like to make a quick note here. As you can see, I've got these 2 people here with their names, some dates down here, and then this person here that says living person. So Ingwald Wicks and Ruby Dawson are deceased people. And deceased people on FamilySearch can be seen and searched by anyone using FamilySearch. Living people, however, are private. So their names, their birth dates, birthplaces, they can only be seen by you as the person who added them. If you'd like to learn more about what information is viewable for living and deceased people, just click the link at the bottom of this video and it'll take you to an article that can explain that in more detail. All right, so now that we know that, let's go ahead and add a person to the tree. So our tree is, I'm going to switch this actually. We're going to start here. So this is landscape mode, and we can see that because up here along the top of the gray portion of the screen, it says landscape. If you click on that, it'll have a drop-down menu. We'll worry with that later. For now, we're starting here in landscape view. And this is probably what most people are familiar with if they've used FamilySearch before. This is usually just sort of the default setting that it takes it to. It shows multiple generations in a tree-like format. In rectangular view, we have these white boxes here with a person on each line, or some blank boxes as well. The lines extend back in time over to the right, and you can drag your page over to see that. So this would be going backwards in time. And you have these blank boxes here where you can add people. We're going to come down here and add Ruby's father, my grandfather, Horace Dawson. So I'm going to do that by first clicking this button here in this box just above Ruby's name here. There's this empty box with the option to add a father. I will click that. that is going to open up this sidebar along here. And we're going to be filling out the information in these boxes. I'm just going to zoom so we can see that a little bit better. Okay, so we have these boxes here for the first name and last name. I'm going to enter that information here. You have the option of adding things like titles, like Mr., suffixes such as junior. For now, I'm going to leave those blank and just put his first and last name in. You'll need to select the gender. You have male, female, or unknown. He is male. And then deceased or living here. Also, just a quick note, if you are unsure about any information, all the information that we add, we want to make sure that we have a source for that. Either you know it yourself because this is your grandfather and they told you this, or you've come across a document that gives this information. We only want to be adding information that we know for sure or from a document into this information here. If you're ever unsure about whether or not they're deceased or living, it is easier to start with living. And then if you find a document later that says they're deceased, you can go and switch that in later. Okay, so we're going to mark him as deceased here. We'll put his birthday information, which is 15th of August, 1866. And with this late of a birthday, it's a pretty safe bet to say that he is currently deceased. You can also make educated guesses, but again, if you're unsure, click living for now, and then you can go in and edit that later. All right, and then we will go ahead and add in his birthplace. And it will populate these options here for you. Just keep typing until you see the one that you want. And for me, that's this first option. Oh, sorry. That's this first option here. So I will click that and then it'll fill in all of the information for me. So once you've got all of the information filled in that you want, you'll go ahead and click this next button down here at the bottom right, the blue next button there. That will take us to this screen here. So these are possible matches that they've found. We'll go over that at a later part of this video. For now, we're going to go to the top part, the first part it's generated for us here. This is all of the information that I've put in. I'm going to say create person. All right, and now he has been added to my family tree. Okay, and we'll practice adding someone else. We'll practice adding his wife here just as another practice run, but that was super fast, super easy, because he is now connected to the tree. He is showing as Ruby's father, and then we'll run through this one more time by adding Ruby's mother. So again, if we just click this button here in the white box that says add spouse, that will pull up this sidebar here. We'll fill in the information just like we did last time. Sorry, that is not Ruby. That is Georgine. All right. And then select the gender, select living or deceased, put in the information that you do have. If you don't have specific information, so for example, if I did not know what her birthplace was, I can just leave that blank. I don't have to fill it in. I can come back in and fill that in later at a later time once I have that information. So we'll add her death here. And then there's that auto-populated suggestion there, which I'm going to click. So I've got all of that information added in now, her name, her gender, when and where she was born and died. And then again, I'll go down to the blue next button in the right-hand corner here and click that. In this first option here in the gray, this is all the information I've added. I can review it, make sure it's everything that I want it to be saying, and then click this button here that says create person. All right. And now I have both of Ruby's parents added to the family tree. So that is how you add someone from the landscape view of the tree. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So super simple. If you want to practice with that, that's also great. There's all these options to add other people. So yeah, if you guys have a chance, you can go through and add someone from the landscape view now that we've gone over that. And this webinar will be recorded and published later. So if you need any help with going over the steps again, you can come back and view this again. All right, so that's how you add someone from the landscape view. We're going to come back up here to the top of the gray screen, this button that says landscape. If we click on that, that's going to open another drop-down menu. We are going to go to the second option here where it says portrait, and we'll click on that, and that will change that to this portrait view here. It looks just a little bit different from what we were just working with. Instead of generations going backwards in time by extending to the right, we have generations going backwards in time by extending upwards. So this is me here. These would be the parents, and then going back in time up here are Ruby's parents. And you'll see we have these little arrows here above each person. If you just click on the arrow, it will expand the view to have more white boxes where you can add people. So we will go ahead and do that now. If you're more of a visual learner, this is personally my preferred way of viewing the tree because it looks I just like this better. It's better for aesthetics in my opinion. And also once you have people's portraits added, their pictures, it just looks really nice. So we'll go up here to this white box here. We're going to add Georgine's father. And it is going to pull up it's going to be the exact same process as what we were doing just now in the landscape view. So once you've clicked add father, it's going to open this sidebar here with all the same information. So we will go ahead and add him. We'll select the gender, we'll select deceased, we'll put in his birth date. The only information I have for him so far for his birthday is the year. And that's totally fine. If you just put that in, that'll populate the year and you can click on that. Again, birthplace, not a lot of information, so I'm just going to put the country. I know he was born in England, and that's it. I'll scroll down to the death date. This I have a little bit more information about. We'll click on that, and then we'll add in all right, and there is the death place there. So now all of our information is added in. So we are going to hit that blue next button in the bottom right corner. We'll review this information here. It's everything that I put in, and I am now going to click the create person button. And there you go. We have him now added to the tree. So we'll practice this one more time by adding Thomas's wife as well. So if we want to do that, we can just click this. So in Thomas Dawson's profile, in the square that he has, in the right-hand corner of it, there's this little blue plus button, and it will pull up the option to either add a child or to add a spouse. We're going to hit add spouse. It's going to pull up that same sidebar here with all that same information, and we will add in her name. Gender selected, she is deceased, and then again, we'll just add in that same information that we've been adding, which is the birth date, birthplace, and then here, scroll down to the death date. And we now have the death place added in. All right, and then that is all the information I have that I want to add for her from here. So I will hit the blue next button. And then once again, here is her profile, and I will hit create person. All right, and now we have both of those generations added. So now you know how to add someone from the landscape view and from the portrait view. There is another view that I want to show you guys that you can add someone to. And you can choose whichever one you feel most comfortable with. Go ahead and keep working in that view, keep adding them from that method. I just want to show you all of the options that you can find what works best for you. All right, so this third option, we will be adding someone from the person page. So to add someone, you're going to go and click. So we're going to go back down to my grandparents, Horace Dawson and Georgine Gusland. We are going to click on her profile. And this is all of the information that we have just added for her. And just down here, there are two options to click on person or to click on tree. We're going to hit the person button. Okay. And this is now their person page. So along the top, we have these different tabs. We're going to, so just under her name, next to where her profile picture would be, just under her name there, we have all of these different options here: view tree, view relationship. If you ever want to go back to where we were just working, you can just hit the view tree here and that will take you back to there. And then just under the view tree, we have a second little bar here with all of these different tabs. We're going to focus on the details tab for today. So you can see it's selected by this blue line under it. This is where you can view all of the information. We've just added a bunch of other information too. If you want to learn more about how to use this page in more detail, to learn about all of these other tabs and the kind of information you can add, I recommend going and watching Virginia Shade's webinar on the FamilySearch person page. She'll go over all those details and you can learn more about that there. All right, we're going to scroll down to this section that says family members along the top. So here you can see her husband, you can see the parents that we just added. Under each couple is this section here for children, and this is a menu, so you can close the menu or you can expand the menu, and that will show all of this couple's children. The same over here, so these are her parents and their children. So if she had any siblings, they would show up in this section over here on the right. Okay, so if you want to add someone from this page, you can. So for example, if Horace was not added, it would have the option to add a spouse here. As you can see, there's also these options down here. If there was another parent or there was another spouse, just under the children's section, there is a button to add them there as well. We are actually going to add Georgine's second husband by going down. So just beneath the section that has the children, there's the add child button. The button just below that is the add spouse button. We will click on that, and that will pull up this pop-up menu. And again, it is the same information that we have been working with the sidebar. So we're just going to add everything that we know about him here. So his first name, his last name. All I know about him is that he was born in 1865 in Wisconsin. I don't know any other information, and that's fine. I'll just leave that blank. So go into the bottom section of this pop-up window to the blue next button and click on that. Oh, my bad. Make sure you add the status as deceased or living. He is deceased, so we'll add that. All right, so now we'll go to the blue next button. It will give us this same option to review the information we've put in. Click that create person button, and that has now been added. So now you can see her first relationship here with Horace Dawson is down here, and then that just added her second relationship here with Anthony Stone. All right, and so when you have instances of working with families with more parents or more spouses, to make it easier on yourself for researching, you can choose which relationship you would like to show as preferred. So for example, because I descend through Georgine and Horace's child, Ruby, I'm going to want to have that at the top of my list. I want to show that as showing in my tree so that I can continue researching that line specifically. So what we're going to do right now, so in this family member section where we have all of these family members showing, we have Anthony's, because we just added him, he is now the preferred spouse. So he is the first one showing here. I want to switch that back to Horace Dawson as the preferred spouse for now. So I'm going to go back to this family members section here. Just below that, in blue, is this button to set preferred. I'm going to click that. It's going to show me both of the spouse options. It's currently on Anthony. I'm going to change the selection to Horace. And you'll know it's changed once that little circle is filled in with blue. I will go down here to the right-hand corner of this pop-up menu and click the blue Save button. And now it has switched it so that Horace and Georgine are showing first now. Anthony is still there with Georgine. It's just under her first relationship and her child with him. All right. So anytime you need to change relationships in that way, you can do that from this person page here. I would also like to quickly point out that underneath all of these couple relationships and the options to add child and to add a spouse, there is also the option to add a child with an unknown father or mother. So if you're like me and you have instances like that in the tree, this is helpful because then you can click on that button to add a child with an unknown father. You'll fill in all the same information we've been practicing. And here, I'll do it here so that you can see just as a practice run. So say there's a child, we're just going to put unknown, male, deceased. If you hit the next button and then create the person, you now have the child added here. And because the spouse or the parent of the child is not known, that leaves that blank and gives you the option to later go back in and add that person once you do know, or to just leave it that way. So that is also an option as well. So that's how you add all of your usual family relationships from these three different views. For those, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the webinar, I have some instances where other people were living with my family who were not related by blood. And I want to be able to add those in because these relationships are important to my family's story. And I want to be able to make note of that, especially as it can help with research. So to be able to add those relationships in, we've been working here in this family members section, and you see all the work we've done. If you scroll down to this next section here that says other relationships, you do have the option to add another relationship with this button here with the plus. If we click on that, that's going to pop open this window here. So it has this relationship box, and if you click on that, now you have all of these options to add these different relationships types. So for example, you can add someone who was in an apprenticeship. You could add someone who was employed by your relative, who was enslaved by your relative, or someone who was a godparent, someone who was just living in the household, neighbors who maybe had a close relationship, or for research purposes, you want to have them connected to that relative, you can add that person. Or someone who's living in the household that you are pretty sure is a relative, but you're not yet sure how, that is also an option to just add them as a relative. For me, I know specifically that Georgine, after Horace died, and I believe after she married Anthony, they did take in some boarders into their house. So I want to account for that relationship by going to this to add the relationship. For this one, I'm specifically going to select household since he was an occupant in that household. And it will show the relationship of these two people here. So we have our head of household, Georgine. She was one of the heads of the household. And then this person here was the occupant, and I want to add the information I have about him. So I'm going to click the blue button that says add person. It's going to pop up this same window that we've been working with to add their information. I have his name from a census record, so I'm going to add that in. I don't know when or where he was born, so I'm going to leave that blank. I am going to put that he was male, and that he is likely deceased just because of the time period that we are working with. So I will put that as deceased. I'll hit the next button, and then that pulls this up here so we can see we've just added his name, and we're going to click this blue create person button. And now that person has been added. And just to double check, we want to click this blue save button at the bottom right-hand corner of this pop-up window as well. So click the blue save button. And now he shows up in this other relationships section. So, and he'll just be showing up in this section here. If we scroll back to the top and we use our view tree button just underneath her name, we can double check, but it will not be adding it anywhere to the tree. So the tree still just shows her and her husband and then her parents here, which we've been adding. All right. Okay, so we've been going over a lot. I hope this hasn't been too much. I'm super pleased to see so many people here. We've got Judith from Kalanog. We've got Catherine from Oklahoma. It's great to see you guys. I know we've been going over a lot of information. Again, this will be recorded and published. So at any point, if you need to review this, just come back and look over it again. I have two more things I want to show you though. So right now we've been adding relationships that we know about, either from what we know personally or from what we've found from records. But along the way, as you're researching, as you're trying to add people to your household, you're going to come across possible connections that you're just not yet sure where in the tree they fit in, if they really are related to you, but you've done all this research and you've come across all of this information, and so you want to save it in a place so that once you do figure out if that person is related to you, you can go and add that. So in that instance, you're going to want to save their information, but not connect it to your tree yet. So what we'll do is we'll come back to our family tree here in this, and it's going to look like this. We'll come back to the top of the left-hand corner. You have that FamilySearch logo. Don't click that button, just come up here. And then right under that, you have this mini bar with all of these tab options here. So the first option is overview. The second option is tree. This third option is recents. If you click on that, that'll have this drop-down menu here. It's going to show all of the people that we were just looking at, that we were just adding there. And then if you scroll all the way down to that list, you'll have a view full page button that'll show if you've been looking at a lot of people. That'll expand that view so you can see everyone you've been looking at recently. Just below that view full page button is an add connected person button. If you click on that, that's going to generate that same pop-up window where you can put in the information. So for example, I know that there's a James Baldwin, male and deceased, because I know that he was born 14th of May, 1852. I am pretty sure I know where, I have a good guess as to where he belongs in my tree. But if I'm waiting to find more sources to back that up as evidence so that I know for sure, I want to save all of this information and then I will go and add him later. So I have his birth date here, his death date. All right, so now I've got all of that information added. I'm going to hit next, the blue little next button at the right hand bottom corner of the screen. Same as before, we've got all of this information here that we can add, and we are going to create person. All right, and now this is his person page here. So I can add information that I find later. Once I find where exactly in the tree he is, I can add his parents and connect that to the tree. But for now, if we go back to the view tree, which is the button just under his name. So if you can see here, his profile is here, but it is not connecting to anyone in my tree. So I can be assured that I haven't messed anything up yet. I just got that information saved here. Now, if you want to go back to viewing your tree, we'll go back up to the top right hand of the gray portion of the screen. We were working here with the portrait and the landscape view. We have some buttons with other options. We're going to go to the third option that has this little home icon. If we click on that, that will take us back to our tree that we've been working on here. And then if you ever need to keep adding information to that unconnected person, if you want to find him again, we're going to go back to the FamilySearch icon in the left top right corner, or sorry, top left corner. The mini bar just under the logo has the overview, the tree. Hit the recents again. And that was our list of people we were just recently looking at. So he will be right there at the top. And that takes us back to his person page. So that way, once you do have that information later, you can go and review that and add that in. All right, so if you're just building your family tree for the first time, you can go ahead and start adding these people. I'm super excited for you to do that. At some point, because we've had so many people contributing to the family tree in this way, as you add the first few generations to your tree, it's going to start connecting with all of the other trees that people have built, all of the records and resources that we have here. And that's how we're able to help you expand your tree. So for example, we've been working by adding Ruby's parents here, and we've just been creating each person one by one. We're going to collapse this view. So we're going to hide her parents here and we're going to move over to Ingvald. We're going to click the arrow right above his name, and that'll open this expanded menu here and add parents. All right, so we're going to add the father real quick. Again, this pulls up that sidebar. I'm going to add in the information here. No, I'm sorry, that's his middle name. All right, male, deceased. As much information as you have that's tied to a source, if you can add that in, that's going to be better for this next step here. He's born in Accra in Norway. And then we also have his death information for 3. Also died in Norway. All right, so far everything's been exactly as we've been doing it. So we'll just, again, hit that blue next button in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so previously we've just looked at this view here and gone create person, but instead I'm going to scroll down here to this section that says possible matches found. So because of the trees that people have built on FamilySearch and the records that have been tied to it, they are suggesting that this is the person, that this person in my family tree is what they have records for already. So, and they have his spouse connected here. They have all this same information. Oh, there's a difference in the information here. They have his date as 27th of January versus 26th of January. I will have to double check my records to see what I have to compare. But everything else with this information looks correct from what I know of this family. So looking at the couple here, if you go down underneath where it has his spouse, you have the add match button. So if I hit that add match button, it's going to give me the option of either just adding Eric Iverson or of adding the two of them together. I know that both of these are my grandparents. The information is, for the most part, correct here. So I am going to choose the select couple button that's just here at the bottom of the first section here. So if I click select couple, so if you notice, that has now added not only Eric, but it has also added all of his family here because it has now gone and connected to all of the trees that everyone else has been working on, to the records that we have here. So instead of having to go and add each person as we've been doing on Ruby's line, it has now auto-populated the rest, and you can go and click on their profiles and review all the information, see what sources are added there. All right. So now you have several different options in your toolbox now of adding a person to your family tree. Again, anytime if you want to review this information, this will be published online on the Roots Tech website. So that's all the information that I have today. I'm super grateful that you joined us here at this webinar. I do want to make sure that there is time for questions. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear them, and I'd love to try and help answer them. So I will switch the time back over to Heidi to help with that.
Okay. That was so much fun, Chloe. Oh my goodness. I loved how you showed us all of the different views so that we could be really successful no matter where we're at on desktop or mobile. And that's so great. Chloe, we have quite a few questions coming in. We have more
Okay.
than 400 people watching. And friends, tell us, as you've been learning with Chloe today, what are the relationships that you've identified in your own families that are unconventional, untraditional, that you've discovered as you've gone into the records and seen the census of your family members come up, census with your family members' names come up, and then you've noticed, oh, wait a minute, there's that person. Who is that? We'd love to hear more about what you've encountered. So a couple of questions include, okay, so how do you add a source?
Um, yeah, so those will be some other steps using the tools we've learned today. I would have
Okay.
loved to go over that, but we don't have time right now. We do, however, have another video published on the Roots Tech website where someone else does walk you through the steps of how to add a source to a person. I
Chloe, thank
want
you
to
for,
say it's Angela Thorup's webinar. I'm not 100%
okay.
sure.
We're gonna look for it and we're gonna link it below. And I don't have that was someone on rootstech.org asking. But the good thing is that if you're on rootstech.org, there are hundreds of family history classes for free. Did you hear that, everyone? For free that you can tune into as a continuation of what Chloe taught. And we will be sure to post it in a link so that you can access it. So if you're like, man, like how do I do that? How do I do this next step? Or how do I do this other thing? Rootstech.org is the place for you to find all of that information. And I'm posting the links right now. There are consultations with people just like Chloe that are experts in the family history space. FamilySearch offers this for free. Again, I keep on saying that word free. It's because it is totally free for you to meet with them virtually to answer any questions that you might have. Now, one of the things that I really appreciate about what Chloe and her colleagues do is that they find ways to empower us so that we can continue on our journey. And that's what makes this so fun. So whether it's looking at the links that we're adding below the live stream or going and finding something else that will help you, rootstech.org is a wonderful place to find more information. Okay, so another question from the Roots Tech chat. I'm here to find how to delete people from my tree.
Mhm.
Sometimes people add them. And what are your recommendations for that, Chloe? When people are being added and you're like, man, like I need to delete them.
Yeah, that has definitely happened to me. Either there have been duplicates added or just someone who was connected to the tree who is not supposed to be connected to the tree was added.
Uh-huh.
We do have an option to delete that person. Um, I wasn't able to go over it today, but there is another webinar video, I believe, currently on the Roots Tech website that does go over that. So that should help you. And again, it'll be a step by step tutorial that will help you with that.
Perfect. I love all of these opportunities to break down these steps. And awesome that isn't it so awesome that you can watch these videos on demand at your convenience? It's the best. I love that. Gotta love technology. Okay, so a question from Idaho Falls, Idaho. She's wondering, is there a way to label a relationship that was not a marriage relationship, but there are children? She says that she has not found a label that says not married. Thoughts on that, Chloe?
Um, So here, I'll just show this really quickly
Yay!
here. We're
Show and
going to
tell. We love
go.
that.
It'll be easy to explain that way. That is a really good question because that is. Here we go. Sorry, I'm just navigating here. So yes, really great question. The best way to go about doing that will probably be. So, for example, if we go back to Georgine, who we were working on, if you guys remember, she was married to Horace, but then after Horace died, she then went and married Anthony. All right. So if what on the person page, we'll scroll back down to that family members section. Um, and we have the spouses and children here. Um, Ideally, if you have the information for a marriage event, you can add that here by clicking this edit button, and it will give you the option to add that. However, if they were not married, you always have the option to leave that blank. And then in another video, I think Virginia Shade's video on the person page should have this information added. There is an option on this person page to add a note. So you can go and add a note and make that specification clear for other people who, if they're trying to add information or trying to find that kind of information, you can save that note on their person page so that people who come afterwards can see that.
Chloe, that's so helpful. And by the way, I feel like sometimes I'm the queen of notes in FamilySearch because I'm like, I just need to just make sure that this is documented and recorded somewhere so that if someone sees that there's changes been made, they kind of understand the why or like what my thinking was behind it. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem. It's a great question.
Okay, so out of all that you shared, if there was like just like one key takeaway that you hope people will walk away with, what would that be, Chloe? You've shared so much with us today.
It was a lot, and I hope it didn't feel too overwhelming. But I also hope you guys realize how fast that was. And once you've got the hang of it, it really is simple and straightforward. I mean, in this webinar, we just added how many did we add? 3 generations of people. We added an unconnected person, and we were able to populate a whole other side of the tree as well. So we just added dozens of people to my family tree right now in just the span of this webinar here. So that's something that I hope that you remember from this webinar, is that it really is simple, especially once you've got the hang of it. You can just go and add people very quickly, very easily. And so, yeah, I hope that this was helpful. And I hope that people can now go over and add people to their tree with more confidence.
Thank you, Chloe. And I love that you're talking about confidence and how we were able to do all of this in such little time. And at the beginning of this live stream, we really focused on how it is that Chloe and FamilySearch and everyone here at FamilySearch just wants to empower you so that you can really feel like, man, I have 30 minutes available to me. What can I be doing to further my family history work and to find more about who I am and where I come from and the stories that my ancestors have and what they lived, right? This is something that we really truly believe in. So, Chloe, thank you for making it so that we can all understand, no matter what level or what type of experience we have with family history. We appreciate you. And thank you all for tuning in. We've got more than 400 people across our channels that are watching us now. And again, just a reminder that every Thursday, FamilySearch experts are here for you with these live streams at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time so that you can tap into their knowledge, you can ask questions, and also that rootstech.org is a reservoir of knowledge and a video on demand type recordings from not just FamilySearch experts, but from experts across the industry, our industry friends that just really want to support you as you try to get answers to the questions that you've been yearning to answer for who knows how long. I have a ton of those. And I'm sure, Chloe, you do too, even though you're a family history guru.
Oh, no, of course. Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we're just so grateful for you. And again, rootstech.org, you want to go ahead and like watch something or learn something, go there. And we're always here to help. Take a look at all of the links, those juicy links that we posted below the live stream. Doesn't matter what channel you're watching on. There are free consultations that FamilySearch experts are willing to make sure that they can to give you the time so that they can hold your hand and walk you through and answer questions that you have to help you continue your journey. Thank you, everyone. And we hope you have a fantastic day, Chloe. Thanks for sharing all of this awesome information with us. Super helpful. I learned a lot today.
Good. Thank you so much, guys. It was so much fun to be with you today.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.